Everyone says California is unaffordable. They're right, mostly. And yet, there are towns in this state where you can buy a house for under $250,000, where rent runs $900 a month, where the median income actually covers the median home price. So why isn't everyone moving there? Because every single one of these places is cheap for a reason. We've ranked 10 of them into 3 tiers, from livable trade-off to genuine warning, so you know exactly what you're buying before you buy it. Let's start with the towns you could probably make work. Tier 3, the compromise. TEHACHAPI. Picture this. You're standing at 3,900 feet above sea level, surrounded by wind turbines and high desert scrub, looking at a 3-bedroom home listed for $430,000. TEHACHAPI sits in Kern County at the crossroads of the Mojave Desert and the southern Sierra Nevada. It has 4 seasons, actual seasons, not slightly less warm, something almost nowhere else in Southern California can claim. The median home price hovers around $320,000. The air is cleaner than anything in the Central Valley below it. Crime is low. The community is tight. So what's the trade-off? TEHACHAPI is a 1-hour drive from Bakersfield and 2 hours from Los Angeles. If your job is remote or you're willing to make that commute, it works. If it isn't, you've just moved somewhere beautiful, with no local economy to support you. The job market here is thin. Small businesses, some agriculture, a smattering of construction. The wind farm industry employs a few hundred people. That's mostly it. It's a town that decided the mountains were worth the isolation. Whether they are for you depends entirely on what you're running toward or away from. RIDGECREST. RIDGECREST exists because the Navy needed somewhere to put people. The Naval Air Weapons Station, China Lake, is one of the largest military installations in the world, and RIDGECREST is the civilian town that grew up around it. Median home price, roughly $270,000. Median rent, under $1,100. By California standards, that's not a bargain, that's a different country. The trade-off here is structural. RIDGECREST's economy is tied almost entirely to the federal government. When the base contracts, the town contracts. When sequestration hits, storefronts close. And in 2019, a 7.1 magnitude earthquake, the largest in Southern California in 20 years, centered almost directly on the town, causing significant damage to the base and rattling the community to its foundation. They rebuilt. The base is still there, the homes are still cheap, but RIDGECREST is a town that reminds you stability and affordability are not the same thing. Sometimes the price is low because the ground itself isn't guaranteed. YREKA. A quick note before we begin, it's YREKA, not YREKA. Local pronunciation matters, so does accuracy. Both are things we take seriously here. YREKA sits at the very top of California, 315 miles north of San Francisco, 50 miles from the Oregon border. It is, by most measures, its own world. Median home price, under $250,000. The downtown is genuine brick storefronts, a main street that hasn't been replaced by a strip mall, a county courthouse that dates to 1857. It looks like a western town, because it is one. The trade-off is geography, and it is severe. YREKA is remote in a way that doesn't negotiate. The nearest city with a full-service hospital and major retail is Medford, Oregon, 30 miles north. Healthcare access within Siskiyou County is limited to a small regional facility. Specialized care requires long drives or medical transport. Winters bring real snow, not the decorative kind, with Highway 5 closures a regular seasonal feature, not a rare event. The local economy runs on timber, county government, and the kind of small business ecosystem that follows from 7,500 residents. There is no significant industry expanding here. Young people leave at a rate that shows in the demographic numbers Siskiyou County's population has been declining for over a decade. But for a certain kind of person, the remote worker with a stable income, the retiree who has already downsized expectations around urban amenities, the one who spent 20 years fighting California traffic and has run the math, YREKA isn't a compromise at all. It's a return to something most of California sold off long ago. ALTURAS. If you are looking for the lowest home prices in the state of California, your search ends in Modoc County, and ALTURAS is its county seat. Median home price, under $180,000. Median rent below $800. These are not typos. ALTURAS sits in the high desert of northeastern California in a county with fewer than 10,000 residents spread across nearly 4,000 square miles. It is, measurably, one of the least densely populated counties in the contiguous United States. The high desert landscape, rimrock, sagebrush, migrating waterfowl, the Warner Mountains to the east is genuinely striking. For hunters, birders, and anyone drawn to open country, ALTURAS offers access that most Californians have never had and never will. The trade-off, however, is total. There is no major hospital. The Modoc Medical Center handles primary and emergency care, but anything beyond that is a 2.5-hour drive to Redding. There is no university, no interstate, no commercial airport closer than Redding. The economy is agricultural and governmental, and it has not expanded in decades. Young people leave at one of the highest rates in the state. The median age is climbing, the tax base is thin, which means services, roads, public transit, social infrastructure reflect it. ALTURAS isn't hidden, it's just at the end of a very long road. The question it asks you is simple. How much of the world are you willing to give up for the lowest price California offers? Some people find that answer liberating. Most find it clarifying. Tier 2, the warning. Tulare. Tulare is a mid-sized agricultural city in the San Joaquin Valley, about 50 miles south of Fresno. Median home price, around $350,000, low for California. Median household income around $58,000. On paper, it pencils out. But here's what the paper doesn't show. The San Joaquin Valley produces more agricultural output than most countries. It is also one of the most polluted airsheds in the United States. Tulare County regularly records some of the highest rates of childhood asthma in California. The particulate matter here, from farm equipment, dust, and diesel, accumulates in a valley the geography has made into a bowl. The mountains trap it. There is no wind to clear it. The savings on your mortgage payment may well show up in your medical bills. That is not a metaphor. It is a documented public health pattern across this region. Tulare is not a failing town. It is a working town with a real and serious cost that rarely makes it into the headline. Madera. Madera sits 20 miles north of Fresno. Median home price, around $423,000, above Tulare, but still well below the state average. It is growing faster than most Central Valley cities, benefiting from Fresno's expansion and its position along Highway 99. The same air quality warnings apply, the same agricultural pollution, the same bowl-shaped geography that makes clean air a seasonal event, not a baseline condition. But Madera has an additional dimension that most relocation guides skip entirely. Its school district has faced repeated interventions and oversight from the state. Its poverty rate sits above 25%. And like much of the Central Valley, it carries the specific economic profile of a place where prosperity lives on its edges, the wealthier neighborhoods hugging the northern fringe, the older downtown carrying a different story. Madera is not a cautionary tale. It is a complicated one, and complicated is what these lists always leave out. Barstow. Barstow used to matter more than it does now. It sits at the junction of I-15 and I-40 in the Mojave Desert, the literal crossroads between Los Angeles, Las Vegas, and Phoenix. For decades, that geography made it a stop. A rest point, a place people pass through on the way to somewhere else. The problem is they never stop stopping. Median home price in Barstow, under $263,000. Median household income, around $53,000. Unemployment regularly runs above the state average. The main street has vacancies that have been vacant for years. The population has been flat or declining for most of the past 2 decades. Summer temperatures routinely exceed 110 degrees Fahrenheit. The closest major city, San Bernardino, is an hour away. Healthcare is limited. Entertainment is the drive-in movie theater, if it's open. Barstow is not a secret. It is a case study in what happens when a town's entire economy was built around passing traffic, and the traffic kept passing. Tier 1, the truth. OROVILLE. In February 2017, nearly 200,000 people were evacuated from the areas below the OROVILLE Dam, the tallest dam in the United States after its spillway failed. It was the largest dam-related evacuation in American history. The dam was repaired. People returned. And the home prices, which were already low, dropped further. Today, you can buy a house in OROVILLE for under $300,000. You can rent a 2-bedroom apartment for around $1,000 a month. By California standards, those numbers feel like a different economic reality. But here's what you're agreeing to when you move there. OROVILLE sits below a dam that failed once and has been rebuilt once. The town carries a poverty rate above 30%. Homelessness is visible and persistent. The local economy, once anchored by gold mining, then timber, then agriculture, has never fully stabilized. The dam is structurally sound, according to every assessment since the repair. That may be completely true. Silence is not always a sign of safety. Sometimes it's a sign that people have stopped asking. Blythe is on the Arizona border, at the very eastern edge of California, where the Colorado River marks the state line. Median home price, around $219,000. Median rent, under $900. These are, by any measure, California's floor. Summer temperatures in Blythe average above 105 degrees Fahrenheit for 3 months. The record high is 121 degrees. The city sits in a flood-prone agricultural zone along the Colorado River, in a region where water rights, not just water access, but the legal right to the water itself, are increasingly contested as the Colorado River Compact phrase under decades of drought. The local economy is agricultural. The job market for any other industry is effectively non-existent without a significant commute. The nearest city with a functioning commercial economy is Palm Springs, 75 miles west. Blythe is not a hidden gem. It is a very honest answer to a very specific question. What is the minimum California charges to live within its borders? The answer is $219,000 and 3 months of 110-degree summers. You decide if that's a bargain. Crescent City. Crescent City is stunning. It sits on the Northern California coast, where the redwoods meet the Pacific, 20 miles from the Oregon border. The median home price is around $363,000 for oceanfront California. That number borders on fiction. And here is the part that earns it the top of this list. Crescent City has been struck by destructive tsunamis 4 times, in 1946, 1960, 1964, and 2011. The 1964 event killed 11 people and destroyed much of the downtown. The town was rebuilt, largely in the same location, largely at sea level. A significant portion of the city sits within a designated tsunami inundation zone. The home insurance market in coastal California is already in crisis. Major carriers have exited the state entirely. In Crescent City, insuring a home in a tsunami zone adds a complexity most buyers don't learn about until after the offer is accepted. The town also hosts Pelican Bay State Prison, one of the highest security facilities in the United States, as a significant local employer. Which is to say, the economy is scenic and institutional in equal measure. Crescent City is not a failure. It is a place with a specific and documented risk that its price reflects honestly, even if most headlines don't. It is, in the truest sense, a deal with the ocean, and the ocean has a longer memory than any mortgage.